With TMDL, creating calendar tables and calculation groups is as easy as copy-paste. Switch between import mode and direct query mode by just changing a single word in the code. Bulk update, format strings for your measures, or organize them into folders effortlessly. And the best part, add multiple cursors with your code once, watch it appear everywhere you need it. How cool is that? Let's explore the magic of TMDL. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel MiTutorials. In January 2025, Microsoft released a brand new feature for Power BI called TMDL View. And let me tell you, this is a game changer. I've been exploring this feature for a while now, and honestly, it's wild how much potential it has to transform the way we work with Power BI. If you are a Power BI developer, whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, learning and mastering TMDL is a must. I get it, TMDL might be overwhelming at first, but that's exactly why I'm here today. I'll break it down into simple, easy to follow sections, helping you learn bit by bit without any stress. In this video, we'll explore what TMDL View is, dive into various use cases, and discover why it's such a powerful tool for simplifying data modeling in Power BI. To put it simply, TMDL, short for Tabular Data Modeling Language, is like a backend of your Power BI report. It's the blueprint or code that defines the structure of your data model, including tables, relationships, measures, hierarchies, calculation groups, perspectives, all in a text-based format. This means that you can manage your data models more efficiently. You can collaborate with your team like a pro now and unlock new levels of control and customizations in Power BI. I guess I've spoken a lot. Let's dive in and explore what TMDL View is. So TMDL View is still a preview feature, so you have to go to your options and settings, go to options and head over to your preview features section. This is where you can check this box which says TMDL View and restart your Power BI desktop. You should be able to see a new tab here which says TMDL View. Now in your TMDL View, you have output, you have problems tab, and then you also have a new tab. Every time you bring in a new table or a measure or a calculation group into your TMDL View, a new tab will get added. For example, when I bring in total cost here, I have my TMDL View created. I have all of the code that is needed to create this particular measure that is added into a new tab. And now when I drag and drop another measure here, you will see that a new tab is now added. You can also bring in the entire semantic model itself into your TMDL View. When I drag and drop my semantic model here, you have your entire semantic model appearing in your TMDL View. Now, don't get scared by looking at this huge code. I'm here to break it down for you. Let's go step by step. I'm going to talk about some of the use cases which will basically help you understand why you should be using TMDL going forward. Now let's take a look at our first use case for today. I'm going to go to the tables view here. I have some of the measures created. I have a dedicated measures table here, and within the dedicated measures table, I have a base measure folder, and then there are some measures here which are outside of my base measure. So when I collapse this, you will see that these are my measures here which are under this measures folder. Now, I would like to move all of these measures into a separate folder instead of having them under the measures table so that they are grouped together. Instead of moving them all one by one, I'm going to select all of these measures here and drag them into TMDL View. After every lineage tag that you see here, I'm going to click on enter and type in DIS, and you will see that we also have IntelliSense in TMDL View. I have these three options to select from. Display folder is what I'm looking at. I'll select display folder here, enter colon, and then enter the folder name. I want this to be as sales measure. I'm going to simply copy this, and after every lineage tag that I have, I'm going to paste this particular value here. Let's learn bit by bit. I've now pasted the display folder in all of our measures here, and notice that nothing has changed until now because there is a button here which says apply, where you need to apply the changes. You can make all of your changes to the code and just save it like that, but unless you hit the apply button, it is not going to take effect. So now that I have made all of the changes here, I can simply click on this apply button. And now you can see that within fraction of a second, I now have a new folder called sales within my measures table. Isn't this super cool? Now let's head on to our next use case scenario. I have my orders table here. I'm going to bring in my orders table into the TMDL view, and you will see that we have the entire piece of code here. And when you scroll down towards the end of the code, you will also see the M query right here in TMDL view, which means that you no longer have to go to your Power Query editor to make changes to your data model, which also means that when you go to Power Query editor, there's a lot of lag that you go through. You don't have to go through all of that. So there's a lot of time saving that happens here. Now for the second use case scenario as an example, I would like to change the data type of the columns that I have in my model. Now the data type of the order date column is date. I would like to change this to date time. So I can simply type in date time here. Notice that we don't have IntelliSense working here, but hopefully maybe in future updates, we might get IntelliSense working here as well. And likewise, I have the customer ID column, which is categorized as an integer. I would like to change this to text. I can simply do that right from here and hit the apply button. And within a fraction of a second, that gets updated. Now to verify this, let's go back into our data view under our orders table. When I select order ID, you will see that the data type is now text. All of this is happening instantly without any lag, without you having to refresh the data set. Whenever you make changes in your Power Query, the data needs to get refreshed. All of that is not happening now when you use TMDL view. Now let's take a look at our next case scenario. Let us say, for example, you want to change the summarization of your columns. Let's say as an example, I have my order ID column and it is summarized by none. There is no summarization here. When you go to your order ID column here, you will see that the summarization is set to don't summarize, which means that this is not summarizing. Now, if you have to change the summarization, you have to do this manually. And let us say that if you have hundreds of columns that you want to change the summarization on, it is quite a tedious task. But now with TMDL view, you can do that right from here. Summarize by, let's remove this none and just hit Control and space, and you will get the IntelliSense, the options that are available here. And these are the different options that you can choose from. As an example, I need the distinct count of my order ID. I can now simply hit the apply button, or you can go ahead and choose the summarize by for the rest of the columns. If you would like to change the summarize by for your customer ID as well, you can see that it is distinct count. It is count only, not distinct count. I can simply copy paste that here to distinct count. Likewise, I have the sales column here, which is set to sum. The discount column here is set to sum. Profit is set to sum. And if you would like to change them, you can change them right from here. Once you've made all the changes here, simply hit the apply button. Within a fraction of seconds, your summarization is now changed. If I go back to my order ID, you will see that my summarization is now set to count distinct. Now let's head to our next use case scenario. I have these measures here, sale LM, sale LY, and you can see that they are formatted as general. And if I have to change the formatting of these measures, I can do that right from here. Let us say, as an example, I want to select all of my absolute values here and then change the formatting of these measures. Instead of changing them one by one, which is time consuming task, I can now change the formatting of all of these measures at once. So let us see how we can do that. After our lineage tag, I'm going to type in FOR, and you have our IntelliSense kicking in here, format string. This is what we are looking at. I'm going to enter a colon here, and now I can enter my format string. I want to change this into a currency. I would like to display a $sign and then hash, comma, hash, hash, 0. I can now simply copy paste this format string here after every lineage tag, and just by doing this and then clicking on the apply button again with just a fraction of a second, and now the formatting of our measures is now changed. And now you can see that the $sign is appearing in our sale LM measure. Likewise, if you want to add decimals here, I will quickly go back into my TMDL view and then type in .00 and then click on apply. The moment I hit on apply, you will see that the decimals are now added to my measure immediately in my card here. Now imagine if you have to do this for hundreds of measures in your data model, how quickly this is going to change the format string of your measures. Like I told you at the beginning, the TMDL view is extremely powerful and wild. But wait for it until I take you some of the other use case scenarios in this video. You are going to love them. Now let's head to our next use case scenario where I'll show you how you can find and replace strings in your code. As an example, I have all of these measures here. Let me drag them into the TMDL view, and now you will see that all of these measures are referring to the orders date from my orders table. Now let us say that you have a scenario where you have to replace your order date. Instead of using the date from your fact table, you now have to refer the date column in the calendar table. So to do that, all you have to do is copy this piece of line here and then press Ctrl H, or you also have an option here for replace, and then replace this with your calendar function. Calendar, close the quote, open square brackets here and refer to the date in my calendar table. And now I can simply click on replace all. And now you can see that the date column is replaced, and all I have to now do is click on this apply button. And now when you go back into your model view, all of your 6 measures here are now referring to the date column in my calendar table. I was able to refer to a different column in all of our measures at lightning speed. One thing to keep in mind here is that we are using the create or replace functions. There are no other functions as of now. There might be new updates coming in the future which will help you rename your columns or drop your columns and tables as well. But for now, we are only using the create or replace function. If you try to replace your measure name, let's say for example, if you want to add an underscore here and then click on apply, this will not let you do that because we are using the create or replace function. Now let's head to our next use case. Let me go to the model view to explain this. I have this sales order detail table coming in from my SQL server. And when I select this, when I head to the advanced mode, you will see that my storage mode is set to import mode. Now let's just say I have a scenario where I have to change this into a direct query. I will not be able to do that because this is grayed out, but now with the help of TMDL view, you will be able to do this. Now let's go back into the TMDL view. I'm going to drag the salesperson into my TMDL view here, and let's scroll down towards the end where we have our M query here, and you see that we have an option here to select mode. Let me get or remove the import mode that I have here and simply press Ctrl and space bar to activate the IntelliSense, and now you will be able to choose the different options that are available here. If you want to change this into a direct query, just select direct query here and click on apply. It will take a second or so, and now when you go back into your model view, you will see that our salesperson table is now in direct query mode, which is also notified with this blue bar that you see here. And when you go to the advanced tab here, you will see that it is now set to direct query. Earlier, it was not possible for you to switch from import mode to direct query, but now with the help of TMDL, you'll be able to do that just by changing one line of code. How cool is that? Now let's head to our next use case. TMDL also helps you collaborate with multiple developers. Let's say for example, you have multiple fact tables in your data model, and there are multiple developers working on one Power BI report. As an example, let's think that base measure section is being created by one of the developer, and the sales measures here are being developed by another developer, and then you would like to combine both of these measures into one single Power BI report. You can do that in TMDL as well. So the way you do this is, as an example, let's save this file. I'm going to click on save as. Let's select the folder here, browse this device. Let's save this particular file here, and I'm going to give this a file name. Let's just call this as test1 and save as. Make sure that you are selecting PBIP and then click on save. Once this particular file is saved, now this is part 1. Let's say this is one of the developers file. Now I'm going to go back here and select save as, and within this I'm going to create another folder and call this as test2. I'm going to save this particular file here and call this as test2. Make sure this is again the PBIP file, click on save. Now let's imagine that both of these developers have worked on this. Now what I can do is, as a developer 2, I can simply drag all of my measures here into my TMDL view, and let's rename this script and just call this as developer2 script and then click on save. I have my developer2 script saved, and now let's say developer 1 wants to import all of the developer2 scripts. Now what he can do is, I have 2 folders now, test1 and test2. Test2, I want to copy the script which is created in test2 in test1. So what I will now do is, I'll go into the semantic model folder, We have a folder here called TMDL scripts, and if you go here, I have the TMDL script here, which is nothing but the dev2. I'm going to simply copy this, go back into my test1 folder, semantic model, TMDL scripts. I'm going to simply paste this folder here. Let's go back and open our test1 PBIP report. Now in my test1 Power BI report, when I go to the TMDL view, you will see that I now have a new tab saying dev2. All I have to do is apply these changes to add all of these measures into my Power BI report. How cool is that? With TMDL view, collaborating becomes much easier, where multiple developers can work on one single Power BI report and import different tables, measures, calculation groups, etc. into one Power BI report. Now let's head to our next use case scenario, and this is quite an interesting one. I've created scripts here to create calendar tables, time intelligence functions, etc. And you can save this off your SharePoint or some central location where multiple developers can access, where you can have a standard calendar table created. All I have to do is open this text file, copy this piece of code, go back into my Power BI TMDL view, paste this piece of code here, and then in my calendar table, all I have to do is change the start date and my end date. Once I do that and click on apply, you can see that I don't have a calendar table in my model, and with a click of a button here and within a fraction of a second, I have a calendar table created here. There is a little warning sign appearing here, field list item has error. Let's go back and check what this error is. When you do that, you see that the dates are not matching. All I have to do is refer to the date which is there in my fact table. Let's go back into the TMDL view, and then what I can do is replace this piece of date here and say order dates, close the bracket, and then replace all, and then you click on apply. And then you have to refresh the calculated tables. All you have to do is hit the refresh now button, and now you have your calendar table added into your semantic model. Now you might say that, hey, I have this DAX code, I can copy this DAX code and create a new table as well. Yes, you can do that as well, but TMDL gives you additional functionality. Now the additional functionality is that, let me go back into my table view here. In my calendar table, I have this month column, and I have applied custom sorting to this particular column here. Sort by column is selected month number. And when you add this particular table, when you add the calendar table using the DAX code, you will not be able to custom sort the columns. You will not be able to change the summarizations. You will not be able to add any of the custom things that you have added into your calendar table. But however, when you add this table using a TMDL view, you will be able to choose how you want the summarization to be done, how you want the columns to be sorted. For example, if I simply search for sort here, you will see that the month column is sorted by month number. Now, all of these characteristics you will not be able to add using DAX. This is possible only using TMDL view, and this is a really cool feature. Likewise, I also have another script here for time intelligence. Let me copy that and come back to Power BI and just paste this script here. And with just a click of a button, I have the calculation groups added into my model. And then you can see that I have my calculation column, calculation group added here. It's obviously showing an error. Let us see what that particular error is. One or more calculation groups needs to be manually refreshed. It's okay. Let's refresh this now. And you will see that all of my calculation groups are added here. How long did it take for me to add these calculation groups? Now let me add a matrix here, and in this particular matrix, I am going to bring in my calculation group that I created here into the column section. And from my measures, I'm going to bring in the total sales amount, into the values. And in my orders section, I'm going to bring in the category here into the rows. And with just a few click of a buttons, I now have the time intelligence created in my visual. I have total sales being displayed, year to date sales, month to date, quarter to date. You can create as many calculation groups as you want and quickly add them into your new Power BI reports without wasting a lot of time. This is wild, and this is the game changer feature that I was talking about. Isn't this cool? I hope you are getting addicted to the TMDL view as much as I am. Let me know in the comment section which one is your most favorite use case. And I'm not stopping here. I have one more feature to show you. Let's go back into the TMDL view. Let us say, as an example, you want to change the summarization of your customer ID and order ID. I'm going to simply pull them into here, and let's add a new line of code here. And what you can do is, instead of typing in or copy pasting the summarization on all these columns, what you can do is simply put the cursor here at the end of the code here, and likewise on the second column, which is order ID, I'm going to put my cursor here at the end of the code, but make sure to press the Alt button here. While pressing the Alt, click the cursor here at the end of the code. You will see that we've now added multiple cursors in here. Now, whatever action you take, if you add a space, if you add a new line, all of that will be repeated in all of these cursors. If I press enter here, you will see that I now have two cursors here and they have gone into the new line. And when I start typing in SUM, I have the IntelliSense working here. I can simply press tab. You see that summarize by is now appearing in both of these columns. Simply type in colon and then give it a space. Press Control space and you have the summarization available here. You can change this to count distinct, and both of these columns are being affected by just typing in once, and simply click on apply. And how fast it was for me to add or change the summarize by in both of these columns. All you have to do is make use of multiple cursors in your TMDL code. How cool is this feature? I can't wait to explore more and learn more about TMDL View and use this in my Power BI reports. That wraps up our introduction to TMDL. I hope you now have a clearer understanding of what TMDL is, why it's such a big game changer, and how it can make your data modeling process more efficient and collaborative. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel MiTutorials for more Power BI tips, tricks, and tutorials. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so that you never miss an update. I'll be deep diving into TMDL in upcoming videos, breaking it down into smaller sections and exploring its features step by step. If you have any questions or specific topics that you would like me to cover, drop them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.